If you're over 40 and your metabolism feels like it's working against you, what you do in the first hour of your day may be having a bigger impact than you realize, because the way you start your morning can influence your energy, your hunger, blood sugar, and metabolic health for the rest of the day. So, most people wake up and immediately they send their body stress signals. They check their phone, they drink coffee on an empty stomach, they rush out the door, and then they wonder why their energy crashes, their cravings spike, and the scale won't move no matter how hard they're working. And here's what I've seen with my clients, and I've helped hundreds of busy professionals over 40 get lean and rebuild their energy, is the people who get the best result aren't always the ones doing more. They're the ones who make simple changes like fixing the first hour of their day. Because those first 60 minutes set the tone for every metabolic signal your body receives for the rest of the day. Get them wrong, and you're fighting an uphill battle. Get them right, and fat loss becomes significantly easier. And the protocol I'm about to walk you through takes just 5 minutes. So, before we get into the steps, I want to quickly explain why your morning matters so much. Because once you understand this, you'll never look at your morning routine the same way again. So, your body runs on a 24-hour clock called your circadian rhythm. This clock controls when hormones rise and fall, when your metabolism speeds up and slows down, when you're primed to burn energy, and when you're primed to store it. And here's the thing about being over 40, this system becomes more sensitive to disruption. Your cortisol rhythm, which should be high in the morning and low at night, can start to flatten. Your insulin sensitivity, which is naturally higher in the morning, can decline if you're sending the wrong signals. And your body's ability to switch between burning glucose and burning stored fat, that metabolic flexibility we all want, becomes less responsive. So the morning isn't just about the start of your day, it's a metabolic window. What you do in that window either tells your body we're safe, we're nourished, we can burn stored energy today, or it tells your body we're stressed, we're underfed, and we need to conserve and protect. And most people are accidentally sending the second message every single morning. So today we're going to cover the 5-step morning protocol, and each of these is a deliberate metabolic signal. So, the first thing you do when you wake up is probably the most important, and it's one almost everyone gets wrong. When you wake up, your brain needs a signal that morning has actually arrived, and the most powerful signal for this is light, specifically natural light entering your eyes. This triggers a cascade. So, cortisol rises appropriately to help you feel alert, your body temperature starts to increase, and your internal clock syncs to the day. When you skip light and go straight into your phone, two things happen. First, you miss that natural cortisol trigger, which means your energy stays flat, and second, you immediately flood your brain with dopamine driven content. So, usually emails, messages, and news, which all spike stress before you've even gotten out of bed. So, the first step is simple. When you wake up, before you touch your phone, get natural light into your eyes for 60 seconds. Step outside if you can, but stand by a window at minimum if you can't. Even on a cloudy day, outdoor light is going to be far more powerful than indoor lighting. If it's winter, like it is for me here in New Zealand, the sun's not up till, really 8 o'clock, then it's okay to use artificial light. So turn on some bright lights, turn on overhead lights, get a daylight lamp, just something that's going to get light into your eyeballs to send that signal. So this one takes only 1 minute and it sets the entire hormonal cascade for the day. Step number 2, this one sounds basic, but I see this mistake constantly with my clients, and it's causing more metabolic friction than most people realize. You just spent 7 or 8 hours in bed without water. You're dehydrated, your blood is slightly thicker, your cells are waiting for fluid to function properly. If you immediately reach for coffee, you're layering a diuretic and a stimulant on top of dehydration. So your cortisol, which is already naturally high in the morning, gets pushed even higher. And for a lot of people, this creates that wired but tired feeling. You're alert, but your body is stressed. The fix is simple. Before your coffee, drink a full glass of water, ideally at least half a liter. If you want to add a pinch of salt or some electrolytes, even better, because that helps your body actually absorb and use the water rather than it just passing right through. Again, this one is just a 1 minute thing. Hydrate first, then have caffeine. This small shift reduces the stress load on your metabolism and can help your body start the day in a hydrated and more balanced state. Step number 3. So you've gotten light and you're hydrated now. So before you sit down, whether it's at a desk, in a car, or on a train or bus, you want to move for 2 minutes. And I'm not talking about a workout. This isn't exercise. This is about sending a signal. When you move your muscles after hours of being still during sleep, you're doing something metabolically important. Muscle contraction pulls glucose out of your bloodstream without needing insulin to do it. This is called non-insulin mediated glucose uptake, and it's one of the most underrated tools for metabolic health. You're also increasing blood flow, raising your body temperature, and telling your body that we're active today. Not sedentary, we don't need to conserve, but we're active and we're burning. And 2 minutes is enough here. Obviously, the more you can do, the better. But We're looking to do things like stretch, walk around, do some body weight squats, whatever's going to work for you. The point is to move before you sit down, not after, because once you sit down and start working, your metabolism starts to slow. So we want to get that movement signal in before that. All right, this next one might surprise you because it's not about doing more, it's actually about doing less. And for the high achievers watching this is often the hardest part. Here's the issue. Most people over 40 who are trying to lose weight are already operating with elevated cortisol. They're stressed at work, they're training hard, they're not sleeping enough, and like we talked about earlier, they're running on caffeine. Their nervous system is stuck in sympathetic drive, so that fight or flight state. If you start your day already stressed and then immediately push into more stress, rushing, scrolling, reacting, your body interprets this as an unsafe environment. And in an unsafe environment, it wants to store energy, which is body fat, not burn it. So before you engage with the world, take 1 minute to downregulate. Sit quietly, breathe slowly, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Don't think about your to-do list. Just bring your nervous system back to baseline. This signals to your body that you are safe, and a body that feels safe is a body that's willing to release stored fat. Now, the final piece, and this is the one that directly addresses the metabolic machinery. Within roughly the first hour of waking, you want to eat some protein. And I know lots of you are intermittent fasting, and I want to be clear that fasting can absolutely be a useful tool. There's great research behind it, but the way most people implement it is the problem. They wake up, they skip breakfast, they have coffee on an empty stomach, and they push through the morning running on stress hormones and caffeine, which is a theme that has come up a lot in this video. Their cortisol is elevated, their body's in a catabolic state, breaking down muscle tissue for energy, and by midday, their cravings are through the roof because their body is literally searching for food. It's trying to keep them alive. When you eat protein earlier in the day, even a small amount, you do several things at once. So you're stabilizing your blood sugar, you reduce that cortisol spike, you preserve muscle mass, and you dramatically reduce cravings later in the day. And muscle is key here. Remember, muscle is metabolically expensive. It takes about 13 calories per kilogram per day just to maintain it, compared to only about 4 calories for fat tissue. Every gram of muscle you preserve is supporting your metabolic baseline. So even if you're not hungry in the morning, which, lots of my clients say, I'm not hungry, try to get at least 20 to 30 grams of protein in within that first hour. And I promise it does get easier, and you will realize you were hungry. You just weren't receiving those signals from your body. So it does get easier. We want to focus on things like eggs, Greek yogurt, a protein shake, which is especially helpful if you're not hungry, even some leftover dinner. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. The goal is just to send your body the signal that food is available so it can stop conserving and start functioning. Now, let me pull this together because I don't want you to think of this as just a list of 5 random habits. There's a theme here. Now, your metabolism isn't a machine that you can force into burning fat by eating less and exercising more. It's an adaptive system that's constantly responding to the signals you send it. And after 40, those signals matter more than ever. When you get light first thing, you're anchoring your circadian rhythm, which controls when your metabolism is active versus when it's conserving energy. When you hydrate before caffeine, you're reducing unnecessary stress on a system that's already sensitive to cortisol. When you move before sitting down, you're telling your muscles to pull glucose from your blood, improve insulin sensitivity without medication or supplements. When you downregulate, you're shifting your nervous system out of that fight or flight and into a state where your body actually wants to use that stored energy. And finally, when you eat protein early, you're preserving the muscle that keeps your metabolism running while stabilizing your blood sugar for the rest of the day. And none of these are complicated or difficult, but together they're telling your body a completely different story about what kind of environment it's living in. And that's really what it comes down to. Most people are trying to force fat loss by doing more. More cardio, more restriction, more willpower. But the answer, especially after 40, is often just improving the context, changing the signals your body's receiving. And when health improves, fat loss becomes so much easier. That's something I've experienced myself, and it's something that my clients experience consistently. And it starts with these 5 minutes in the morning. So here's your 5-minute protocol, start to finish. Wake up before touching your phone, get natural light in your eyes, drink a full glass of water, move your body for 2 minutes, sit and breathe for 1 minute, and then within that first hour, eat some protein. And if this feels too simple to work, I get it. We've been conditioned to believe that results require suffering. But what I found with the hundreds of busy professionals I've worked with is that the things that actually move the needle are often just the simplest ones. They're just not the ones that most people focus on. So if you've been feeling like your metabolism is stuck, like your body isn't responding the way it used to, start here. Try this protocol for 7 days and pay attention to how your energy, cravings, and mood all shift. The fat loss will follow. And if you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and like this video. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to go deeper on this, I've put together a video, which I'll link on this page, where I talk through the full system I use with my clients to put fat loss on autopilot after 40. And that's the next step if you want to take this further. See you in the next video.